if you were to stop dosing HCG, because like, again, as I discussed in the recent video, a lot of people have side effects from HCG, and sometimes it skews people's sexual function via skewing the ratio of estradiol to ITT, intratesticular testosterone, in the testicles, via all this extra aromatization that takes place, via HCG that is somewhat resistant to the use of aromatase inhibitors. But if you did that, you just jettisoned HCG for a week, testicles start to shrink and load side maybe got a little lower and sensation maybe changed, it didn't change. Then though, you dose 30 milligrams of exogenous DHT, just put it in a capsule and threw it down and monitored over the next 48 hours, you would likely notice, as I've noticed, and some of my clients have noticed, full-on intratesticular function, including ejaculate volume, sensation, climax ability, and climax sensation, all improve without HCG. Now look, there's some proposed mechanisms for DHT basically being able to be a better sub, like subbing for HCG. They have to do with the cholesterol side chain cleavage enzyme, as well as 17 beta hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase, which is going to convert androstenedione into intratesticular testosterone. And it also might be the case that DHT acts directly on testicular cells, specifically Leydig and Sertoli cells, boys. All right, so this is, again, as I've recently discussed, I've been seeing a lot of people having problems with HCG. DHT is likely an alternative, and I have a big, long paper breaking it all down. Cortex Labs is a performance optimization and hormone consulting company for men. We got a range of different products ranging from the Torque Nootropic Stack, which is a powerful Adderall-like nootropic stack without the side effects. It's 35% off, and get that down in the description of this video. Most popular product right now is the Source List, a vetted source of trusted anabolics. So you can get that down below in the description. And lastly, I'm a coach on TRT protocol restructuring and redesign, specifically around libido and erections. And if you need longer ongoing help, especially related to sexual function on hormones, book a 3-month or a 6-month package. So I want to first preface this by saying this is very early on in my understanding of this, or at least my formulation of my opinion on this, so things could change. I'm open to reinterpretation of the scientific data, as well as reinterpretation of the whole climax, intratesticular, seminal vesicle, male reproductive tract dynamic relative to DHT and relative to the proper function of the testicles. However, one thing that I have come to recognize and needed to use as a sub is DHT over HCG, because HCG just fucks people's protocols up, right? There is a contingent of men. I do fine on it. Many of my clients do fine on it, but not everybody does fine on it, where HCG just mucks everything up, right? The estradiol changes the intratesticular estrogen testosterone ratio in the testicles, which messes things up. And I've had early success, okay? I want to make that clear. Early success using DHT as an alternative, exogenous DHT. Let's get into it. We're going to go to this paper, which is titled The Effect of Testosterone, Dihydrotestosterone, and Estradiol in the Reinitiation of Spermatogenesis in the Adult Photoinhibited Jungarian Hamster. Now, these hamsters, by the way, hamsters are used often as the animal models for human clinical trials. So it's not like it's some irrelevant, obscure, completely sort of separated animal within which the effects that are established are not extrapolable to humans. And what they basically found, there's a bunch of gems in there. So we're going to start with this one. The number of Sertoli cells, or these are the sperm producing cells, were suppressed in SD controls, which is basically a lack of sunlight. Okay. They raised these hamsters in sun, and then they started suppressing the light for a certain period of time, which induced luteinizing hormone suppression. It started suppressing their gonadotropins. Like they put them in 16 hours of darkness, just to give you an idea. The number of Sertoli cells was suppressed in the SD controls by 48% of LD control, and restored either fully or partially by exogenous DHT and estradiol, respectively. So DHT had a higher fold increase in functionality of the Sertoli cells, respectively, corresponding with a 2-fold elevation of serum FSH. The number of germ cells in SD animals was reduced to the levels reported. DHT increased the number of type B spermatogonia spermatocytes and some other type of spermatocytes above the SD group. Again, the group that had light suppression, basically, which suppressed LH. Interestingly, but not surprisingly, exogenous testosterone, and let me just shrink myself a little bit so you guys can see this fully, had little effect on the cell numbers, right? So of course, exogenous testosterone suppresses that whole system. They go, we believe this study suggests that steroids can regulate the reinitiation of early spermatogenic cells via a mechanism which includes follicle stimulating hormone. Okay, so they found that to a lesser extent, estradiol enlivened the testicles, Sertoli cells, likely Leydig cells, specifically sperm-producing cells, but to a greater extent, DHT did. Exogenous DHT did under the condition of suppressed luteinizing hormone, which is what we're all in when we're dosing exogenous testosterone. Literally that state. They did this for 33 days or something, and then they measured all the markers of Sertoli cell function. In the ultimate discussion, they go more specifically, androgen in the form of DHT increased Sertoli cell and spermatogonial numbers back to LD control levels with a partial increase in spermatocyte numbers. Now, there was still some degree of suppression on the elongated spermatid numbers. I'm not really sure what that means, but I'm sure it's part of the whole picture of intratesticular function. And interestingly, DHT and estradiol, but again, estradiol to a lesser extent, DHT to a greater extent, also produce an approximately twofold elevation in serum follicle stimulating hormone. Now, just in case people are wondering, they were saying it's speculated that a higher dose of T would emulate the DHT response, which it ultimately ended up not doing because the DHT conversion from testosterone is a lot slower than just administering exogenous DHT. Okay, so it's not just that your DHT from your testosterone would do this. This is why exogenous DHT is necessary, in my opinion, at this point. What this study tells us and what my experience has told me is that for people that are having side effects on HCG, you could sub it out for exogenous DHT, still have testicular function, especially ejaculate volume, ejaculate sensation, not lose any of that, keep the testicles functional while you're on exogenous testosterone, but also get major benefits like confidence, masculinity, sex drive, better erections, etc. from using exogenous DHT. Now, there are a couple reasons that I think and that the authors of the study propose that this is the case. And one of them is direct effects of dihydrotestosterone on steroidogenic enzymes in Leydig cells. These are the test producing cells. And what I think, based on reading, their synopsis of what potentially could be causing DHT to basically upregulate testicular function and LH suppressed, in this case, hamsters, likely extrapolable to humans, is that, look, DHT binds to the AR, the testicular AR, specifically expressed in the Leydig cells, potentially upregulating steroidogenic enzymes involved in the process of testosterone synthesis, specifically P450-SCC, which is cholesterol side chain cleavage enzyme, which converts cholesterol into pregnenolone, and then potential upregulation of 17-beta hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase, which converts your androstenedione into ITT, intratesticular testosterone. I mean, this is fucking fascinating, boys. What the study found is that in LH suppressed conditions, so when LH is suppressed, which it is when you're on exogenous testosterone, that is exactly the state. That's why the testicles largely shut down. With DHT given, exogenous DHT, intratesticular testosterone actually increases as some sort of a backdoor pathway, right? Some sort of workaround loop, like an autocrine or a paracrine loop. You get increases in what looks like luteinizing hormone activity, but ultimately ITT, and a generally healthier set of testicles. And the authors propose that DHT does this as a compensatory action for low luteinizing hormone levels. And if people want to run experiments with this and you're one of those pro-estrogen people, I really don't suggest you do that. Like, use estrogen to try to do it, because binding to the ERB and the ERA receptors compete with androgens, specifically in the synthesis of androgens via co-regulatory proteins. I don't know them off the top of my head, so they are SRC1 and NCOR. They're essential for androgen receptor mediated transcriptions, and estradiol activation of the estrogen receptors can sequester those co-regulators, reducing androgen receptor activity. Okay, so pro-estrogen people, I'm sorry, but science just won. Now let's talk about dosing quick. I'll just give you my experiments and some of my clients' experiments. Again, this is very early on, so I cannot say definitively that this is going to be the case for everybody or that you should try it. I just wanted to bring the science to your attention as well as the experience. But what I found dose-wise is somewhere in the 30 to 50 milligram range of exogenous DHT is what really works this for about a 3 to 4 day period. Just 30 to 50 milligrams of DHT. 3 to 4 days, possibly even 5, really depends on the person. Testicles are functional, everything works well, sensation, erections, all that stuff's even better than on HCG. And then slowly at like day 5, day 6, things kind of taper down and sort of go back to normal, as you might expect, because the effect that DHT had, even though DHT was very short-lived in terms of half-life, the effect is pronounced and longer, just like the effect of LH is very short, at least the half-life, but then the effect downstream is pronounced and much longer, but it ultimately does taper out and go away. This is one of the outcomes of my now almost 4-month experimentation on and off, but largely on, of exogenous DHT. I got a lot of it, just a lot of bulk powder DHT, and I've been using it in various situations. And it was only brought to my attention recently through the necessitative use of DHT in a person we couldn't dial in with HCG no matter what, but they wanted functional testicles, especially considering also that Proviron is like fertility medication. You know, Proviron upregulates all that function too, and you get better climaxes, better sensation, usually better erections with Proviron. The seminal vesicles probably get a degree of optimization because DHT is very fucking prevalent there and necessary for their function. Ultimately leading me to this, at this point, educated hypothesis with some data behind it, as well as studies behind it, that DHT could act as a sub, maybe intermittently, or potentially permanently for HCG for people that are having problems with HCG. I got a lot of comments and a few emails about the last video regarding HCG and how people can't dial in on it. So I figured I would break this down because I have this information and now you have this information. There is much more to come in my experimentation and my understanding of DHT, because this is a heavily understudied thing. If you Google like DHT and the ejaculatory system and seminal vesicles, like, you're going to find some stuff, but like it seems as if the medical establishment just sort of like purposefully ignores dihydrotestosterone, right? And that might be so that they can facilitate the very popular narrative that all it does is give you hair loss and acne, which is untrue. And ultimately, then they can sell you fucking Propecia, finasteride. So I've gotten in the middle of that. I am doing all the research. I'm doing the experimentation. I've got live people doing the experimentation. And I hope that I'm bringing something revolutionary here. We will see in time. Much more to come. Boys, look, if you need to book me for ongoing coaching, I've got a 3 and a 6 month package. This is where you've got serious sexual dysfunction, whether you're on TRT or not, but you need to solve it and you need somebody to guide you through adjusting the protocols along the way. We've got a 3 month, a 6 month, a 1 year option if you got the budget. This is for serious people that want to get their sexual function fixed, among other things. We've also got TRT protocol restructuring, the addition and the bringing in of various different compounds based on what we might need to do within those coaching programs. So you can book at livecortex.com. If you need just a consult, just a protocol written up, me to hear your situation, fact find, figure out what's going on, write a protocol. You can get the TRT protocol redesign. That's just a call and a consult, all down in the description of this video. Torque Stack, Adderall without the side effects. Very, very powerful nootropic stacks. 35% off right now. Livecortex.com or down in the description. And again, source list is live. Yeah, speaking of DHT, this is ultimately where you're going to find it, but everything else you can think of, test of all esters. Again, a selling point, major selling point. I just got shipped to my doorstep in 4 days, 8 vials of 10 milliliters per vial of testenanthate. I got like 100 tabs of Proviron. I've got endless Cialis. I have endless DHT. Source list, boys, down in the description of this video. All right, brethren, it's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you. I hope you have a great day. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Please sub to the channel. Makes a huge difference. If you're watching this content and you like it, chances are there's gonna be more content that you're gonna like. Hit the like button too. That also makes a significant difference on our channel. Getting out to more people. Rock on, kick ass. Have a great day. And I'll talk to you boys in the next one.